Cara Thomas is a reporter with Spectrum News. Of course, used to be Time Warner Cable News, which is now Spectrum News. And they, along with everybody else, covering this Conley trial that's going on. And it is finally, it is going national. Yesterday, a lot of stuff and some real saucy information, if you will, coming out of this trial right now. Cara Thomas, thanks for coming on. Good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good morning, and thanks for having me.
So tell me, what did we learn yesterday? And I'm sure you've seen that this is now beginning to go national. I can't imagine that this trial doesn't somehow end up into the form of a movie down the road. But the details are coming out. What did we learn yesterday?
Well, yesterday, I think the biggest testimony we heard was a continuation of testimony from Adam Yoder. He was the son of Mary Yoder, who's the victim in this case. When he spoke, he shared a lot about how he feels like he was framed. There were anonymous letters sent to the Onondaga Medical Examiner's Office as well as the Oneida County Sheriff's Office claiming that he was responsible for poisoning his mother with the toxic chemical colchicine and that the bottle itself was underneath his passenger seat.
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, they did find that bottle. He was questioned for several hours by police, but that prosecutors believe that Caitlin Conley was actually the one to write those letters. And here we are. Connolly is the defendant in this case. So he talked a lot about that, talked about the relationship between he and Conley that was on and off again for several years. He got a bit defensive when defense was asking him some questions about his character and their relationship, some things he did. He fled. I wouldn't say fled. He left immediately after being spoken with police to Long Island, left all of his belongings behind. Defense was really questioning him about that. So, yeah, it was very interesting. Other people who testified yesterday talked about how the colchicine was actually ordered, and it was a Gmail account was used to communicate with these companies and things, and the Gmail account is called Mr. Adam Yoder 1990 at gmail.com. Well, when Adam was on the stand, he testified that he knew nothing about that Gmail account. Actually, two of his accounts combined, and he never created it, never deleted it or anything. So I think more is going to come out about that, about where it was created and things like that.
We can't always use logic when we talk about things like this because the people involved aren't necessarily using logic.
Right.
But if you think about some logic here, so this Adam Yoder, if I'm going to be buying some chemical to kill my mother for some reason, to go after my girlfriend, I don't understand the whole premise of this. But if I'm going to do that, I would create a Gmail address, I guess, so that people can't track me. But the last thing I would do is put my name in the Gmail address.
Right.
I mean, that's the odd part of this, right?
Well, exactly. And that's, I think, exactly why Adam Yoder is not the defendant in this case.
Right.
It's what the prosecution is alleging is that Caitlin Connolly is the one who created these accounts, trying to point it back to Adam. She's the one who, which is, like as I said before, her ex-boyfriend. She created this account. She ordered all of the colchicine under his name, under his parents' business name. Well, it was an altered version of Chiropractic Family Care. She wrote Chiro Family Care, and different things, trying to point it back to him. But you're right. If it seems to be that if it was Adam, it would be kind of obvious. That
right. Why would
he do it under his own name and it go right back to him?
It's getting very complicated because the defense would be reverse psychology. It just doesn't. And obviously, what you're talking about is what the prosecution is presenting in their case. The defense, however, is throwing a lot out there to see what sticks, including upcoming here targeting the father, saying that he is the one that had motive to commit this crime. And I don't think that's happened yet in trial, but that's still to come.
Well, that's exactly what he presented in his opening statement, was that they believed that it was William Yoder, the husband, that he had motive to do it. He had a large inheritance that just came in when his father passed away, and he testified it was about $400,000. They claimed that he wanted to keep it all to himself, that he wanted to retire on his own, that he was not faithful to his wife. But when he got on the stand a couple of days ago, he claimed that none of that was true, that he and his wife were going to use that money for retirement, and that they were going to take a 6-week trip to Europe together. So they've already been trying to point that, but it was interesting. And in opening statements, they're saying that they're claiming it was William Yoder, but it seemed when they were cross-examining Adam Yoder yesterday that they were really targeting him as well. So it's been kind of interesting.
Andrew.
We talk a lot about motives of other people or the people that are allegedly being framed in this case. Has the prosecution come out clearly with a motive for Caitlin Conley yet?
No, not at this point, and I don't know if they will. They brought up to the jury when they were through jury selection that they don't have to prove motive, that that's not their responsibility, that ultimately they just need to prove where the evidence leads. And so that's what the prosecution continues to say, is that we followed the evidence through this entire investigation that continually led us back to Caitlin Conley.
Yeah.
So they don't have to prove motive. A lot of the jurors who said that they would need to hear a motive in order to reach a guilty plea, they were not chosen. So ultimately, that's not the burden for the prosecution.
And the defense, of course, their goal is to create doubt in the minds of jurors. Manaski.
Cara, do we know yet where the chemical was delivered to, or the poison that was?
Yeah, it was delivered to the Chiropractic Family Care.
Okay.
Yesterday, the postal worker for UPS testified, saying that she remembers and identified Caitlin Conley in the courtroom as the one who signed for that package. The defense argues, however, that as the receptionist of Chiropractic Family Care, she would sign for lots of packages, not necessarily addressed to her. Yeah. So that was kind of but yes, the package of colchicine was delivered to Chiropractic Family Care.
Okay. All right, Cara Thomas is with Spectrum News, and you can watch her reporting throughout the day today on Spectrum News. And I'm assuming you'll be back in court today as well.
I will.
All right.
I'll be tweeting. You can follow me at Cara Thomas News.
At Cara, that's C-A-R-A Thomas News on Twitter, and we'll be following you through the day, and hopefully we'll talk again real soon.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Boy, I got to tell you, Michael tweeted earlier this morning, a pretty girl and poison. Definitely catnip for national media as this thing broke nationally finally last night. And you can imagine you might start to get some national coverage, even more so. Jolene Ferris was doing interviews with Headline News all day yesterday on the trial. This is one that I don't see how this thing doesn't blow up and become big nationally, and who knows, down the road become a movie.